Hi, my name's Lucas and this is Servicing a Mountain Bike. So we're going to start with a W check. We're going to start from the back. So we're going to check the spokes on the back of our bike, making sure none of them are loose and wobbly. We're going to do this by running the rear wheel along the back of our hands like so. Next thing we're going to do is check the back brake, and what you want to make sure you have is a 2-finger gap and that the brake pads aren't rubbing along the wheel like so. Next thing we're going to move on to is the transmission. So we're going to check that all the gears are working, moving up and down the cogs. They were moving absolutely fine. As you can see, I have replaced the gear cable on this bike, which is why the gears are moving fine. Next thing we're going to move on to is the seat. So we're just going to make sure that's on tight and not wobbling about for when a rider goes and uses it, as this will be uncomfortable. We're going to move down, check the cranks, make sure they're not wobbly and moving about, as well as the pedals, making sure they're not moving about and aren't wobbly, which they aren't. Then we're going to move on to the front transmission. We're going to make sure the gears move free up and down the 3 gears nice and smoothly like so. Next thing we're going to check is making sure our handlebars aren't moving and aren't twisting, as well as the headset, which is not lovely and is lovely and tight there, so which will be safe to ride. Moving on to the front wheel, exactly the same as the rear wheel. We're going to make sure none of the spokes are moving, and we're going to do that by turning the wheel and rubbing it on the back of our hand like so, as the front of your hand will hurt more. Then we're going to check that front brake, again making sure there's at least a 2-finger gap like so, and making sure the brake is not rubbing. What we're going to do next is check our tyre pressure. They need to be at 40 psi, and as you can see, they're around 35. So we're just going to pump them up to another 5 psi to make sure they are in perfect condition for mountain biking. Mountain bike tyres, remember, need to be at 40 psi. Road bike tyres about 100 psi. So the front inner tube is known as a Presta valve, which means we've just got to unscrew this little nozzle here to fit the Presta side of the pump on, like so. Air will be coming out at this point, so you got to remember, you got to try lock it in as quick as possible, and you're still going to be pumping that up to 40 psi. Some tyres and inner tubes do come with a maximum and minimum tyre pressure, so make sure you don't go above that maximum tyre pressure. As you can see here, I've also replaced the front brake cable, which is why it's nice and sharp now. You're just going to be running that through the front brake here, and when you're cutting the cable, always make sure you've got a fistful of the cable left over ready, so when you need to tighten it or loosen it off, running the cable all the way up through here into the brake, and a nice 2-finger gap there like so. When I replace the gear cable, you need to unscrew the top here, leave that to one side, and you're going to start from the back of the bike, loosening that screw so the cable can come out, pulling it through, so all the way up to the gear shifter, where you pull that out, and then you get a gear cable and put that back in like I've done here. You want to make sure there is tight tension on the cable throughout the frame. otherwise those gears are going to be slipping up and down and not sitting on the correct teeth.